Okay guys, Saturday the 20th of January, so let's have a look at both of the US indexes. Okay, so from last week, the main area that was tested was this 2800 level, as we went over last week. And we were creating a bit of a zone around the 2800 area because very rarely are support and resistance levels at exact levels. So what you can see is the market on Tuesday. Monday was the Martin Luther King Day, so you can see a very, very small trading day. Tuesday, we spiked up into the 2800. Wednesday, again, we held at this level. You can see we actually held at exactly the same level. And then on Thursday, once again, we sold off from the 2800 area. And then on Friday, it's only then that we started to break higher once again. And actually, at the start of the trading day, the start of the US session, we actually had a couple of sell-offs from this area once again. Now, we didn't make pullbacks down toward those key levels of structure that we were waiting for, back down toward this whole area. We tested this section right here. We went over this in last week's video also. Basically the low of the Friday and the high of the Thursday. We talked about how this was a support and resistance level, but for me personally, it didn't give enough price action evidence for me to look for potential setups from that area. Okay, so coming into next week, what are we now looking at in this market? So if we get rid of these rectangles quickly, we're still in a very, very strong uptrend. We have still broken up above the three tests, and we're sitting above the small trend line that we have on the charts. At present, we are still testing at the 2800 zone. You know, until we see the market spiking up a little bit more, there's the potential here for next week, especially because of the shutdown that's going on in America right now. We don't really know how the market's going to react coming into Monday. There's the potential that we'll just crash all the way back down once again, like this. So, support and resistance level has given us the evidence that really we want to take up toward 2807 right here. You can just drop it down a little bit toward 2796, 2797. This is now for me the 2800 level. So if the market does press up, it's a good area to look for potential bullish continuation. As I keep going over in the videos and as I keep going over with subscribers pretty much weekly, when a market is in a very strong uptrend like this, you don't want to try and pick the tops. You know, if the market is still continuing to be in a bullish trend, just stick with the trend. Stick with the path of least resistance. The worst thing you can do is start thinking it's gone too far. It's going to start selling off. You know, people did that here, people did that here, and then people did that here. You know, as day traders, we can take advantage of the small pullbacks. However, trying to pick the top of a market, it's a fool's game. It's very, very difficult to do. Now, if we start to break underneath this level, we can then start looking for weakness, resistance. We have another level down toward 2792 into around about 2789 right here. You can see the market coming down and testing. Both times buyers have stepped in. On the Friday it came down and the buyers stepped in a strong way. So it's giving us a clue that this is now a level of support. If we're breaking down through this level coming into next week, then really that's when I would start to expect a stronger correction coming into this market. Really only down toward the previous lows now at around about 2670. Around about here. So we're taking these levels here, like this. I've now had a little bit more evidence from the high and the low of this candle. There's a little bit more to work with in terms of a support and resistance level. But for me, still the main levels, they don't really start until we get back down into 2760 with this very strong spike up. And really, the stronger levels are 2750 down toward round about, let's have a look, 2746 to 47 right here. Now with this, if we do see the market failing at this level and we see the move down and this level is failing also and we're starting to come down into these levels, then we're starting to watch at the trend line, because potentially what we're seeing is the market breaking the trend line. And if we're breaking the trend line, it means on the way back up, it's a good idea to start looking for resistance, because then it's giving us a little bit more evidence that potentially the market is looking for a stronger correction, and we can look for the stronger moves down toward 2742 down into, at least 2736 right here. Similar to that, if we're coming down next week and testing at the support level at 2770, if it's lining up with the trend line, it's giving another little confluence to buyers. We've tested, we've then broken up above, came down and tested. So if we're coming down next week and it's lining right up with this trend line, it's giving another little confluence to look for the bullish bounces. For me, at present, this is a more minor level. However, if we start lining up with the trend line, so potentially on Monday or Tuesday, if we're coming down and testing this level, it's adding a little bit of a confluence. It's starting to get a little bit stronger for me if it's lining up with the trend line. And really, going into next week, those are the main things that I am looking at. So 2800 remains key. We've already seen the reactions coming into the market off of this level. If we do start to see a nice break above, we can look for the continuation. If not, it's still a good level of resistance. We've got a level down below at 2790 to we're around about 2792 to 2790. Because this market's in such a strong uptrend, it's a good level to look for continuation. If we start breaking at this level, breaking below, support becomes resistance, I'd then be happy to start looking for a stronger move down toward 2770. If it's lining up with the trend line especially, it's a good area for continuation. If we're breaking down below, especially if we're also breaking down below the trend line, it's a good area to look for resistance, and the moves down toward 2750, really all the way down to 2736. Okay guys, that's everything for this week on the S&P. Let's move on to the NASDAQ. Okay, so now let's look at the NASDAQ. We're just going to do exactly the same thing. We'll have a quick recap from last week, and then we'll look at the market for the week ahead. Okay, so on this market last week, we also had the round number 6,800. Let's just mark it in right here. Create a little zone around the level as a potential support and resistance area. And really, for last week, this was the main area that I was looking at. So we only had the price action up into Friday, the 12th right here. Didn't have any of this. So we were looking up at the 6,800 level, and then down below, once again, we were taking into account key structure right here for potential pullbacks. Now, last week, we got the spike up on the Tuesday. The Wednesday, we pressed right up into that 6,800 level. And then basically what we were looking at moving forward was how we were sitting just above this upper resistance line. So it was resistance potentially becoming support, and we had a bounce, and we had a bounce on Thursday and Friday. But in all honesty, on the NASDAQ, a little bit of a quieter week. In terms of the key levels anyway, in terms of the key levels that we're going over in this video, we didn't really get the pullback we were looking for down towards 6,700. We did get a pullback, but only stopped at around 6,720. And then only into Thursday and Friday did we start testing at the 6,800 key level with the sloping support and resistance. So coming into next week, if we get rid of this rectangle, really it's just giving us a little bit more clue as to where the level is sitting. So down toward 6,780. Up toward really the round number at 6,800 right here. At present, the market is sitting above this level. Continued support. Worthwhile looking for bullish bounces from the area. If we start failing down below this level, once again, we have a nice resistance level. It's not only the round number, it's lining up toward the all-time highs. It's lining up at present with our upper band of the trend channel. It makes sense as both support and resistance. Down below, we have 6,740 to 6,720. For me, again, this is a more minor level. If we're breaking down below this level, I would certainly expect these areas to be tested. But really, I'd be looking for a stronger move down towards 6,700 to 6,682. Down below that level, we have 6,656. Down toward really 6,640. Right here. So we do have the spike down here that we can add in to make it a little bit of a bigger zone. However, for me, the key levels are sitting right here. I want to be a little bit careful if we've seen the break all the way down to 6620. So down below, those are the main areas of support. As I've mentioned, if we are breaking below this level now, it would be a failure. We've broken up above the trend channel. We have tried to put in bullish movements. If we're coming back down now and we fail below this level, it would start to look like a false break up. And then this would become good resistance, and I'd really expect the move back down towards 6,700 then. Do have a more minor level in the way, as I've mentioned, 6,740, 6,720. But really key level here, and then the next key level is just down below. Up above, it's given us a clue for potential resistance at present. We're at about 6,845, all the way down to 6,830. You can actually bring it down a little bit more into 6,820 right here. Testing at this level at present. If we're breaking up above next week, pullbacks, especially if it's lining up with the trend line, continuation. So basically continuation coming into next week. Unless we start to fail at this level, then we start to look for the stronger move down towards 6,700. Both of these levels down here are key levels of support if we see that happening. Okay guys, so that's everything for this week. As always, I hope that was helpful, and I hope you all have a great trading week next week. I'm James Orr, and thank you.